Hi everyone, my name is Megan and welcome back to What's Your Why. Today's episode is going to be taken over by the amazing Alex, who has lived many different journeys so far already in life, each one shaping the amazing human being that he is today. And in this conversation we have a look at some of those journeys and how his faith has guided him through it all. Then we start to look at a little bit of how Alex is guiding other people through life and why that's so important to him. My heart was so full throughout this whole conversation and I'm so grateful that I get to share a little snippet of it with everybody today. So sit back, relax and enjoy, and I'll let Alex take over.
Well, my name is Alex, and I am from the United States. I was living there um, back in early 2020, but I was living separated from my wife at the time, plus my children, and so I was going through a real difficult time during, just before the pandemic, because I was away from my children. So I created an account with TikTok, um, letting people know that there is hope out there and that people don't have to go through things alone. And so, fast forward to March of 2020, I came to visit my children for 3 weeks. Um, and a week after I landed here, the international borders closed. And so I got stuck here. Later, after that, my wife passed away from cancer. I made the decision to stay here to take care of my kids. And so this has been my whole journey, my whole mission, what I've been about, what I am going to continue to do.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sure that just absolutely wasn't easy at all, especially given the times that we were in. But how are you doing since?
It doesn't get any easier. It doesn't. Just before you sent me the message, I was at Centerlink. It's basically a government organization that um, provides financial support for people who need it. They were cut off when their mother passed away, and so I'm fighting to get that support back from the government because without that, we really don't have any supports. And even though things are hard, it doesn't come close to how things have been for us. And one thing that I've learned to understand about God and the seasons that He puts us in is that sometimes we just need to settle there and live our life there and learn from our lives at that season in time so that when He does move us from there and He moves us on, we have what He's taught us so that we can take that with us because we're going to apply that somewhere along the line in our lives. And I'm going to have to do the best I can. I could really make it bad for myself and my kids and let them see how hard and difficult our life is, or I can be this person who can say, you know what, let's just keep going, let's just keep pushing and not make things hard for my kids because it's been hard for them. I don't need to make it any harder by saying I can't do this.
What helps you the most just kind of get through the hard days?
My faith in God.
Tell me a little about your relationship with God.
Uh, this goes way back when I was a kid. There's a story in the Bible that talks about Peter woke up one day and he was in a boat and there was a storm and he realized that the other disciples were asleep in the boat and he saw a man at a distance. So he called out to him and said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you. And I look at that story, and that story I hold very dear to my heart because this is where Peter walked on water. I know a lot of people know about this story, but Peter, I like to look at this story to say that Peter looked at his situation where he had been dwelling for most of his life, and he said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm tired of living in these boundaries where I can't go beyond this and I live in a box. And this story is a perfect example of people getting out of that box. And in me coming here and coming when I did, there was a plan that God had for me and I didn't know it. I thought I was just coming here for 3 weeks, go back home to my job, and that's it. And when everything happened, of course, I had to accept it that I was stuck here. My wife just passed away. I've now become the sole parent of my children, and now I have to take care of them with no job. And again, some people may not understand this, but this is faith where you gotta trust God. And I know a lot of people don't comprehend that, but I understand that. And this is the type of faith that I believe God calls us to have.
And I know you said at the start of the chat that, you know, during your hardships, you had people be there for you, and now you want to give back to them. Like, why is that important to you?
I know the hardships I went through, um, and I literally burned every bridge that I had, every relationship that I had with family, friends. I hit rock bottom and beyond. It was really bad, and I had nobody. That was it. Everybody just pretty much gave up on me. I was homeless. Um, I was a drug addict. I was, a gang member. Um, I was just somebody that, I could have been laying on the side of the road and people would just walk by me like nothing.
Yeah.
And it took somebody to roll up their sleeves and say, you know what, we need to help this guy. We need to help him. And it was the same person over and over and over and over. And regardless of how bad I made life for them, because I didn't make it easy for them. Stuff and, you know, not everything that they offered me I wanted, but they kept pushing and they kept being persistent. And they did it with so much love and kindness and compassion that no matter what I said, how I said it, or how I directed it towards them, it didn't affect them. They just kept coming back. And I'm glad that I did because they did not give up on me. And they saw something inside of me even in my darkest days that I was not able to see. And they brought that out of me. They got me to see that there's still someone in there who can do something and who can make something of themselves. And it took years for them to be persistent, years for them to push me and to pray for me and to believe and trust. And you know what? I came to the realization that I can do this. I
Yeah.
can really do this, and it wasn't easy. It hasn't been easy. It's still hard. There's still a lot of things I hold close to my heart that I used to do a long time ago. But I also see that I'm no longer the same. I feel that I need to do the same. A lot of people ask me all the time, what motivates you? What inspires you? That's just exactly what it is.
Like, what is some of the good in you that you weren't seeing at the time?
I want to say that it was the way I would think. And sometimes my way of thinking for others can be like, dude, what's wrong with you? I mean, that doesn't even sound right. But to me it did. It made sense to me. And there's a lot of people around the world who are misunderstood. They're misunderstood, and because you don't seem to fit in with a certain type of group of people who may have it all together and they're smart, they go to school, they got great jobs, um, they could read things and understand. I wasn't one of those people. I really struggled going to school. I had a hard time understanding what the teacher was saying. Um, I was more of a visual person. Show me what it is you want me to learn. I'll do it. And I was pushed to try to be this the other way, and I couldn't because my mind just didn't work that way. And I was able to understand different from other people, and God helped me to understand that there are people out there who are just like you, who are misunderstood, who are not accepted, and they're rejected because of how they think and how they see things. And many of us run across these type of people who they'll just tell you and tell you and tell you and tell you and tell you, and you'll walk away from that with nothing. Somebody's able to talk to you at your level and help you understand, it turns the light bulb in here and it turns it on, and now okay, now I understand where my power spot was, where I really shined and where I was more effective. And I was walking away from that because I was trying to fit in somewhere else. So hard to fit into a group of people they don't even belong to.
If you look at your life and where you've come from and where you are and where you're going, what's your why?
Well, I know what mine is. I don't have to think because I know. It was given to me years ago in a jailhouse is to speak into people's lives. Um, and I was prophesied over by a prophetess who said that the Lord was going to use me to speak to many nations. And what those nations meant is one person as an individual represents a nation. Um, I never really saw it because it's like, well, how is he going to do that with me being in jail? Um, I never saw it. And now that plan has come to pass where it's like, it took a pandemic, it took me to come across overseas, it took me to be in this position, it took me to be in front of a camera to just speak into it and pray that somebody would hear it. And now, I don't even know how many likes I have, but I think there is like 20 something million people. So yeah, I know that God is using me to speak into people's lives. And I don't know what else He has, but this is what I know I've been called to do.